Hi, I'm Frances Reid. I live in Sandy Bay, Hobart. Every day I travel along Sandy Bay Road, the main road which connects Taroona and the city. It's a beautiful waterfront drive. One of its most distinctive features is the Wrest Point Casino Tower, which you can see behind me. You can see this tower from many spots around Hobart. In this film, I'll discuss how the Wrest Point Tower represents a significant turning point in 3 different ways. Firstly, it represents a turning point for me personally, a landmark in my new city. Secondly, as a distinctive piece of great modernist architecture. And thirdly, as a symbol of the Australian gambling industry, with all its good and bad. Moving to a new country is a massive turning point for anyone who's had to do it. For me, it meant leaving my extended family, my sports teams and my friends, and having to start somewhere new. I grew up in Dunedin, New Zealand. In many ways, the culture is quite similar to Hobart. I had a great childhood, spending time on my grandparents' farm, playing my guitar and hanging out with my siblings. When I moved to Hobart, I needed to establish a whole new set of landmarks. New schools, new streets, and new places around the city that I knew. I've lived in Hobart for 4.5 years, and almost every day since I've arrived, I've walked or driven past the Wrest Point Casino Tower. The tower opened in 1973, and even 45 years after its completion, it still remains the tallest building in Hobart. The 64-metre high tower has 17 floors, and at the top is a revolving restaurant. I go past Wrest Point every day. It's part of the landscape of my life. But I also appreciate it as a piece of architecture, and how its construction was a turning point for the Hobart skyline. The Wrest Point Tower was designed by Victorian-born Sir Roy Grounds. Grounds was a leading architect in the schools of Bauhaus and architectural modernism, working first on his own and later in partnership with Robin Boyd and Frederick Romberg. He is responsible for some of Australia's greatest modernist buildings, including the John Medley Building at the University of Melbourne, the Australian Academy of Science and the National Gallery of Victoria. Whilst the Wrest Point Tower was celebrated by architecture scholars, the public's view has always been mixed. Some have called it the building that architecture forgot. Another person said, it looks like an old hair roller. But whatever the opinion has been, Sir Roy Grounds' tower is undeniably a landmark of Sandy Bay and Hobart. After the casino's opening in 1973, it provided a catalyst for the nation's casino industry, with 12 additional casinos opening across the country. Legend has it that the first record of gambling in Australia took place in 1810 at a horse race in Sydney. Since then, Australians have been gambling first in lotteries and horse racing, and from the 1950s poker machines, and in 1973, Wrest Point was Australia's first casino. Ever since gambling started, it has been contentious. Thousands of people lose millions of dollars every year to gambling, much of that through poker machines. In Tasmania, gambling is a major political issue, and poker machines are the main source of debate in the 2018 state elections.
About freedom of choice. Remember 4 years ago when the Labor got into bed with the Greens? Tasmania went backwards. I spend so much time in pubs and clubs. They do so much for the community. We've got to get behind our pubs and clubs.
But many experts of public health regard gambling as one of the greatest social problems of our time, and the debate rages on through the media.
Last year in Australia, pokies scarfed down $9.8 billion in small change. They're like the Cookie Monster with a less adorable eating disorder.
The biggest game in town by far is with poker machines. It outranks casinos by a factor of 5 or 6 to 1.
So in the middle of this political and economic saga stands the Wrest Point Tower, a landmark on the Hobart skyline and a site of multiple turning points, both personal and civic. The Wrest Point Casino and its building is a symbol. For me, it's a symbol of a new town. For Hobart, it's a symbol that helped put the city on the map. And for the country, it was the start of the casino experience that has brought both good and bad to our society.